Today, we're going to take you to Charleston, South Carolina, where there's so much history. There's great architecture. The food is fantastic. The Southern hospitality is amazing. And of course, there's fine cars and fine people. Waterfront Park in Charleston is one of the most visited parks in the city. At the north end of the park, you'll see a wide pier that goes right out into the harbor. It's shaded by a long gazebo. It has picnic tables, benches, and big old porch swings. Great place to relax and during the day or at nighttime. The park boardwalk has over 1,000 feet of coastline and is one of the best places for sightseeing, nature watching, and outdoor interest of all genres. Pelicans make frequent appearances along the riverbanks. There are several fountains, including the famous Pineapple Fountain. The boardwalk is amazingly beautiful. It is filled with all kinds of different plants and flowers and tall palmetto trees that create all kinds of shade. Enjoy all of this beauty and sitting on one of the hundreds of benches stationed all up and down the riverfront. And welcome to Rainbow Row, which is a row of pastel-colored historic homes located on East Bay Street. It is one of Charleston's most iconic sites. These historic homes were first constructed around 1740. They were used by merchants who would run their businesses on the ground floor and live on the top floor. Rainbow Row is one of Charleston's most photographed spots and is a spectacular sight to see. So I did a nighttime walk with, I think it was called Holy City Walks, and it was the hauntings of Charleston. So we walked probably about 90 minutes. We started down on the boardwalk and we went through all kinds of different haunted streets. We went by dungeons, century-old graveyards. We went through alleyways and we went by some churches and restaurants, and everything had a story. There was all kinds of different terrifying stories about Charleston. It is a very haunted city. And because it is so haunted, there are several companies that do ghost tours at night. Some of them take you inside the buildings. This one was just a walk around, so we were able to walk through a lot of different areas. Charleston has all kinds of exciting activities to offer once the sun goes down. Because I am a prior ghost hunter, I'm always interested in going into the church graveyards at night. This one right here is one of the oldest English burial grounds still in existence. Many gravestones, of course, have disappeared, but there are more than 500 that remain. In 1695 was the earliest unmarked grave. The number of burials before 1776 was 150. Most of these gravestones are made from slate, and they were shipped from carvers in New England. So they had images and medallion portraits. In fact, markers in the 1600s typically were inscribed with stark skull and crossbone markings. That is the ancient symbol of death. By the early 1700s, the crossbones were beginning to be replaced by wings, and the resulting images was being called by Death's Head. So although the skulls continued to emphasize death, the wings were introducing the idea of flight from the earth or life after death. And I had to do this tour of the old exchange, known as the Custom House. The old exchange was built from 1767 to 1771 by the provincial government, and it was used for a variety of civic functions, including a custom house, public market, public meeting place, and jail. And during the American Revolution, confiscated tea was stored here in 1774. The building housed the South Carolina Convention to ratify the United States Constitution in 1788. The building was used for many events in George Washington's week-long stay in Charleston. From the colonial days until after the middle of the 19th century, from several hundred to many thousand slaves were annually sold to the highest bidders in front or just north of this building. This building was also used for a post office. They would get their mail after about 10 a.m. on sale days. In the American Civil War, the building remained a Confederate post office, but was hit by several shells during the war and thus abandoned. In 1913, the building was granted to the Daughters of the American Revolution, who have preserved it ever since. The building has been a Charleston landmark for nearly 250 years. Today, it is a nonprofit historic site that focuses on the American Revolution and colonial Charleston.
Sir Anthony Ashley Cooper. So Charleston's a peninsula and surrounded on three sides by water. The Ashley River, the Cooper River, the Atlantic Ocean. That's how Charleston was born. Now welcome to the Exchange of Provost Engine Building. It has a rattlesnake, 13 rattles, each one representing a colony in America. But also held here in the Provost Engine was a man named Isaac Hayne. He was a colonel in the army, fought against the British during the American Revolution. He was married, had 7 children, lived in Colleton County, right outside of Charleston. His wife and 2 of his children came down with smallpox. Thought he needed to come here to Charleston to get medication. When he came here, he was captured by the British. He explained the situation to them. They said, we'll give you the medication if you sign a statement stating you will never fight against the British again. Thought he had no choice. Signed the statement, got the medication. By the time he returned home, his wife and 2 of his children had passed. His friends started a militia and asked him to head it. So once again, he picked up weapons against the British. And once again, he was caught by the British and brought to the dungeon. This time, they were going to make an example of him. They held him here, found him guilty of treason, and sentenced him to hang. 3 days before his hanging, they brought him upstairs to the Great Hall. If you go up there, you will see the Isaac Hayne room. And the only bit of furniture available to him at the room at the time was his coffin. The night before his hanging, they invited his surviving children to come say goodbye to their father. As they walked into the building, they saw him sitting there on his coffin. The next day, they put him on a horse cart, marched him across the city to Marion Square, and hanged him publicly. He was the only Charlestonian hanged by the British during the American Revolution. Now, the Revolution ended in 1783 with the signing of the Treaty of Paris. And that was ratified on this day, January 14, 1784, by the United States Congress.
We are also going to take you to Mother of EmanuelAME Church, which was founded in 1817. It is the oldest church in the southern United States. It was the first independent Black denomination in the nation, and it has one of the oldest Black congregations south of Baltimore. This church does have a dark past over the years, But the reason that I came here is I wanted to pray for the families that lost their loved ones in a shooting on June 17th, 2015. At the time, it was the most deadliest mass shooting at a place of worship in the U.S. history, and is the deadliest mass shooting in South Carolina history. Following these murders, the South Carolina General Assembly voted to remove the flag from the state capitol grounds, and a wave of Confederate monument or memorial removals followed shortly thereafter. I would love for you to say a prayer for all of the families of the victims. I hope you enjoyed my video on Charleston. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share my videos. And remember, it's up to you to make it fun and make it yours. We'll see you the next time.